All right, everybody, I think, got the message there. Brooke Goldstein is here with me in New York. Now, Brooke is a human rights attorney, executive director of the Lawfare Project, which is a Jewish civil rights group. Welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Colonel.
So we're going to have a conversation for the next few minutes about most of the issues, at least, surrounding this whole Harvard story. What's your perspective on it?
Well, I think that my perspective really aligns with most people's if they're just watching the news, that Harvard is out of control, that this is a basic civil rights issue that's been politicized. You know, the irony here is that all Harvard had to do to stop the revocation or moot out the revocation of its student exchange and visa program is comply with the law, is be transparent. You know, when the Department of Homeland Security is asking you to turn over information about your foreign students and whether or not they're engaging in any type of illegal activities on the campus, turn it over. Why are you hiding it? There's no need for this legal battle. And I think it shows that really Harvard's intentions are unclear or bad at worst.
What would you say, though, about First Amendment issues, which came up in this case, which, as I said, Harvard won today?
Well, the First Amendment issues are coming up in all of the cases. We're suing the City University of New York right now. The Lawfare Project is suing. And the defense is always free speech, free speech. And what was interesting is the Department of Justice just filed a statement of interest in support of my client at CUNY, saying that there is no First Amendment protection when your speech becomes action, and your action is harassment or assaults or widespread civil rights violation or destruction of property. That's not free speech protected in this country. And, you know, having a student exchange and visa program, being able to import students from abroad is a privilege. It's not a right, and it comes with a lot of responsibility. And number one, that responsibility is transparency. And Harvard should have no problem turning over the documentation.
So you think anti-Semitism, broadly speaking, is a big problem, especially at Harvard, and needs to be addressed, right?
Well, it's not just anti-Semitism. We're talking about hatred in education. We're talking about widespread indoctrination and radicalization on not just our college campuses in America, but K through 12. And it's widely documented. It's out in the open. And it just starts with Jew hatred. It's anti-Americanism. It's spreading, you know, extreme ideologies. And the purpose is to radicalize our student population. And we're seeing the results of it right in front of our eyes.
And I wanted to play a perspective from a rabbi who's actually been on the show as well. I think it's the largest delegation in the country, Rabbi Jacobs, and what he says, and then ask you to respond to it. Brings up some other issues. This is what Rabbi Jacobs had to say.
And I just think that we also want to protect our community, but we also want to protect democracy. Democracy has kept us safe. The rule of law, having basically one's constitutional rights protected, that keeps all of us safe. So we don't want to discard those essential elements of our democracy, even as we double down to keep the Jewish community safe.
Okay, so obviously someone who would share some of your concerns but thinks it should be a different approach.
Lovely
what would you say?
Platitudes. I mean, we all love democracy, and democracy means transparency. It means following the rule of law. And when a school is operating in flagrant violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the rule of law is not being upheld. When a school is engaged in fraud, when the school refuses to turn over information requested by the DHS, the government has broad discretionary power with whom to award its student exchange and visa program. And so that's what I think we're asking to happen, is the rule of law to be enforced in this country.
And the final thing, because like I said, we have a Harvard professor coming up in a minute. So I guess the final point I would ask you to make then, is it just Harvard here because of those issues you mentioned? Or in other words, other institutions are being more cooperative? But you had the issue with CUNY, you said, as well, here in New York.
You know, there are schools that are better and there are schools that are worse. And you have to take a look at the foreign funding coming into these campuses. Schools that receive money from Qatar, for example, that are foreign funded from the second largest state sponsor of terrorism, have a 300% increase in anti-Semitism and Title VI violations. So it's not just Harvard, unfortunately. And again, it's not just college campuses. There's K through 12 issues that we need to be examining right now. We need a whole overhaul of the curriculum that's being brought into these schools by radical groups. And we need accountability and we need transparency. There's nothing more democratic than that.
All right. Well, thank you for your perspective. Again, like I said, it's an issue that a lot of people are thinking and talking about. Thanks for sharing today, Brooke. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So Brooke Goldstein. Now,